Hello and welcome to the first program of Curtis Head Talks. In this program, I am going to be talking about love, but not just any kind of love, the most important kind of love. The kind of love that Jesus and the writers of the New Testament are talking about when they talk about God's love for us, and the kind of love we are to have for God and for one another. But first, let's look at the common use of the word love, such as, I love pizza or I love you. In both cases, love is used to express our valuing of someone or something. So, I love pizza is I value pizza because pizza is an enjoyable way to take care of my hunger. Or I love you is telling someone that we value them and that we are thankful that they are a part of our life. Now back to the most important kind of love. The kind of love when the writers of the New Testament tell us about God's love for us, as in God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. Or when we are told that we are to love the Lord our God with all of our heart and with all of our soul and with all our mind and all our strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. For many years, I believed this kind of love to be a selfless kind of love, the kind of love in which a person was putting the good of another person above themselves. Now, you may have noticed I said I believed. The reason for this is because after studying all of the passages using the word agape and agapeo, the Greek words translated as love in the New Testament, I discovered I could no longer justify that belief. I now believe agapeo refers to our treasuring of someone, some idea, or something so much that we want to be fully connected to and identified by our relationship with that which we love. And agape indicates someone having this kind of love for another. I also came to see that what makes agape love godly is not our defining of the word, but rather whether or not we treasure and desire to be connected to others in a way that's in keeping with God's design for us. And that's the reason why the writers of the New Testament and Jesus could use the word agapeo in describing the Pharisees' love for one another, for sinners' love for each other, and for our love for darkness. So, why am I sharing this understanding with you? I am sharing to show how God the Father sacrificing his Son and how Jesus Christ going to the cross was not based on our being sinners in need of salvation. It was based on God the Father and Jesus Christ the Son so treasuring us that they were willing to do whatever it takes to make the relationship that they desire to have with us possible. In other words, our sin was getting in the way of what God the Father and what Jesus Christ wanted. So they removed that obstacle from their path. And if what Jesus Christ did to remove that obstacle doesn't make us feel treasured and valuable, I don't know what will. And in this, we're told that Jesus is to be our example. So when we're told that Jesus endured the cross for the joy set before him, we need to understand that our love for God and for others is not based on our making sacrifices, but upon our treasuring God and seeking to be completely identified and connected to our relationship with him, he as our God and we as his children. And it is upon our treasuring our neighbors as ourselves. Jesus sacrificed himself because he was acting true to his relationship with God the Father and true to the relationship that he desires to have with us. So, are we going to take full advantage of the relationship that God the Father and Jesus the Christ have made possible for us out of their love for us? If so, it starts when we put our faith in what Jesus Christ has done by paying the price for our sin. And it continues when we surrender to the Holy Spirit to transform us into the image of Christ. The result of this is our entering into a relationship with God, and by extension, it is our loving others as ourselves. In short, we begin to experience the life that God created us to have. And in this way, any sacrifice we make will be made not because we are being selfless, but because what we are seeking to gain is more important to us than what we are sacrificing. Our having agapeo love is not based on our goodness, abilities, knowledge, or sacrifice. It is based on our treasuring God and others as God created us to treasure them. Think of it this way. Would you want to marry someone who is marrying you as an act of sacrifice? They're marrying you because they see you as being unworthy of them and that they're going to make you worthy of them? Or would you want to marry someone who is wanting to go through life struggles with you and is willing to make sacrifices for you, not because they see you as unworthy or as something they have to do, not as a sign of their own goodness, but because they treasure you and they see something great within you, and they desire to have a lasting relationship with you. Jesus' story of the pearl merchant selling everything to go purchase a pearl of great value is an example of agapeo love. So too, the traveler who, upon finding a treasure buried in a field, goes and sells all he has in order to buy the field to obtain that treasure. This is the kind of love that God the Father has for us, and this is the kind of love that Jesus and the writers of the New Testament are telling us to have for God and for one another. So the question I now find myself having to ask is, am I allowing the Holy Spirit to transform me into someone who has this kind of love for God and for others? In the next program, I'll share with you how agapeo love has helped change my life for the better, and I'll share how the misunderstandings of this kind of love resulted in my treating others and myself in ways that were not very godly. Until then, I hope you know how treasured you are.